Thanks to the Americans with Disabilities Act, recreational centers and public parks need to consider their design and accessibility to accommodate all people. The ADA gave a legal mandate for park and recreation departments to serve people with disabilities. The law required program access, like adapted sports, through inclusive policies and procedures, and through physical access to parks and facilities. Agencies had to make reasonable accommodations, including alterations to regular policies or procedures and practices, and provide aids and relocate programs to an accessible site to allow a person to participate. And so the project of providing access began. And we see access in athletic facilities, or we can see access on the beach, or we could see access in the great outdoors. And then we see even more accessibility when it's related to various forms of assistive technology. So prior to the ADA, access to recreational facilities and recreational opportunities were limited by the lack of accessibility and the general neglect that we have seen throughout the course. But there were some previous efforts to provide opportunities. And we can look back to the work of Eunice Kennedy Shriver. And remember, she's the sister of President John F. Kennedy, who started a day camp for children with developmental disabilities called Camp Shriver. And this was in a suburb of Washington, D.C. in 1962. And also remember that the Kennedys were influenced by the experience of having a sister, Rosemary, who had intellectual disabilities. Eunice Kennedy Shriver was concerned about this lack of recreational and athletic opportunities for children with developmental and intellectual disabilities. And so she started something to address the gap. She also served on the President's Commission on Mental Retardation, and she promoted the value of physical activity and group activities for children. Now, the following summer, the camp recurred, and then it became an annual event, and she helped promote this as a model for others. And then with support from the Kennedy Foundation, this made possible such camps at universities and recreation departments and community centers throughout the nation. So thousands of children were participating by the mid-1960s. And Eunice Kennedy Shriver proposed the idea of developing a venue which would create an opportunity for those who wanted to compete together. And this led to the birth of the Special Olympics in 1968. And today, some 5 million participants in more than 150 countries participate in Special Olympics events, which occur virtually every day at local, regional, and national levels with tens of thousands of events each year. Another example that overlapped with that of the work of Eunice Kennedy Shriver is the Paralympics. Now, these began in the immediate aftermath of World War II, where rehabilitative sport emerged as a means for veterans with disabilities to interact, to have fun, and to engage in activities that will strengthen their health and well-being. Now, when the Olympic Games came to London in 1948, the physician involved with this work, this is Dr. Ludwig Guttmann, organized a competition for wheelchair athletes, both men and women, in archery. This was the seed that became the Paralympics, which were inaugurated in 1960 in Rome, where 400 wheelchair-using athletes competed from 23 countries. Now, at present, the most recent games, there were some 4,000 athletes competing with a wide range of disabilities from 159 countries. the Paralympics take place immediately after the Winter and Summer Olympics right after they conclude, and it takes place in the same host cities. And there in the Paralympics, one finds some of the greatest athletes in the world.